Do you recognize this can even when I cover up the name? Of course you do. It's WD-40, probably one of the most recognizable products ever made. WD-40 started selling in 1958, and today, this stuff is a household name. The company that produced WD-40 did not want to patent the product, otherwise they'd be forced to reveal its secret ingredients. But am I really going to criticize a product that sold millions and millions of cans, and it's in nearly every household in America?
You're darn tootin'.
Let me tell you why I stopped using WD-40 almost completely. Some people call WD-40 the jack of all trades. And as you know, the second part to that phrase, master of none. And that sums up WD-40 pretty well. It's a lubricant, sure, but a bad one. It's a penetrating oil, but a mediocre one. It prevents rust, sure, but mediocre once again. Now, this isn't just my opinion or experience using the product, but many others have done extensive comparison testing using WD-40.
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
As a lot of you probably already know, the WD in WD-40 stands for water displacement, and the 40 means that it took 40 attempts to arrive at the current formula. It was originally meant to displace water, prevent rust and corrosion in the aerospace industry. To displace water means to push it out of the way. But look what happens when I put half a teaspoon of WD-40 on top of half a teaspoon of water on this steel plate. The WD-40 got immediately pushed aside by the water. Now, watch the WD-40 puddle in the middle. It's being forced out of the way by the heavier water molecules. This is also observable when you mix WD-40 in water. The WD-40 will float to the top because it's lighter and not as dense as the water. It seems to me that the WD-40 is not the liquid that's doing the displacing. Now, nowhere on the can does it say that it's a lubricant, but it is implied. It says that it frees sticky mechanisms and stops squeaks. Now, I'm sure the company has sold many cans under the assumption that people really believe that this stuff is a lubricant. This is what WD-40 looks like in a cup. It's very thin and it feels slightly oily, which made me wonder how much oil is really in a 12-ounce can of WD-40. Now, what I'm about to show you is very dangerous. I'm doing this so you don't have to. WD-40 is very flammable. So I strongly advise against trying what you're about to see for yourself. To find out the percentage of oil in a 12-ounce can of WD-40, I did a little experiment. I measured off a third of a cup of WD-40. It weighs 2.26 ounces. I'm warming up the liquid, outside of course, on very low heat in order to hasten the evaporating liquid in the WD-40. After 45 minutes of low heat, I'm left with this liquid that resembles used motor oil. I started off with a third of a cup and ended up with a little over a tablespoon. 2.26 ounces dwindled down to little over half of an ounce. After some basic math, this means that a 12-ounce can of WD-40 contains about 3 ounces of actual oil or lubricant. On the left is regular motor oil. On the right is the WD-40 oil after evaporation. The WD-40 oil is thicker and stickier than regular motor oil. What does all this mean? Well, after you spray WD-40 and 75% of it evaporates, you're left with a very thin coat of oil. Now, I'm no chemist, so let me give you a practical observation of why I don't like using WD-40. Now, almost everybody has used WD-40 on a squeaky hinge. It works for a while, but then what happens? The noise, the squeak, comes back. Why? Let me tell you. Here's a brand new door hinge. The pins come pre-greased. Eventually, some of the grease wears away and works itself out. When I spray WD-40 on this, you can see that it dissolves and breaks down the existing grease. That is not what you want on a hinge. It may leave a little oil behind, but only very little. I'm not saying that WD-40 is useless. Use it in a pinch or when you need something and this is all you can find. But remember, everything it does is mediocre. Now, having said that, there are a lot of places that you should not use WD-40. You shouldn't use it on electronics, eyeglasses, and other plastics that have polycarbonate like a Rubik's Cube. Don't use it on hinges, door locks, ball bearings, or anything that currently has grease in it. Never use it on bike chains or gears of any type. Don't use it on musical instruments. And of course, never use it on anything that comes in contact with food. The WD-40 company understands that this product misses the mark in so many ways that I've already described in this video. And I know this because they've developed several products to do the very things that I've been criticizing WD-40 for. They have a separate penetrating oil, an electric parts cleaner, a silicone, and a gel lube. If you need a penetrating oil, then buy a penetrating oil. If you need a lubricant, then buy a better quality oil. There's even homemade solutions that are way better than WD-40. In fact, here's one I make called Slip and Shine. It contains mineral oil, beeswax, and carnauba wax. The oil lubricates and the waxes not only lubricate, but they're also a thickening material, so this stuff stays where you put it. I use it on hinges, door seals, butcher block. It cleans signs. It's even food safe. It's amazing stuff. Now you can make this yourself or you can purchase mine at simpletoncreation.com. I'll have links to both in the video description. I'm Tom. This is Alley Picked, and thanks for watching.